Well, thank you. It's definitely a pleasure to be here tonight and to speak for Pete's sake. And it's kind of ironic that Marcy had brought up the theme of teamwork, because when I said, well, what should we talk about a little bit tonight? She said, well, talk about you and your experience with cancer and how, for Pete's sake, has really played an impact or played a role for how you've gone on pulling your family together and making a new and different experience out of this cancer experience. I thought that wouldn't be a problem at all, because I've truly been inspired by For Pete's Sake. Inspiration is one of the first things that came to my mind. I thought about what I might say, and I thought, I'm going to be speaking to a lot of gaming types, on the blinks all day, so I thought baseball came to mind. Because it's kind of a theme that runs through a lot of For Pete's Sake, even right back to the Phillies chair that's here tonight. And we'll forget about the game last night. But I thought about it for a couple of reasons. Did anyone here go to the Citizens Bank Park walk for Pete's Sake? That was fantastic. It was very well organized. The Pete's Sake team put that together very well. There's plenty of food. It was a great time. And for someone who loves baseball, it's actually something that I kind of lost touch with. I played it as a kid. I didn't play it for several years. And then probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I really got back into it. And it's a great sport. I think it's great because, well, for two key reasons. And one is, I have so much respect for the athletics. When you think about these guys, they have game after game. They got 100 and something games they played throughout the season, back to back. They're just strong. It's inspiring. I think about myself as a kid older. I wake up in the morning, things just hurt. I didn't even play baseball 100 games in a row. So it was like a vending machine injury when I got up from my desk or something. And then I thought about teamwork, and I thought, baseball's a lot about teamwork. It made me think about the For Pete's Sake team and how much teamwork is going into that. Teamwork's about a lot of sacrifice plays to make sure that that tick goes up in the W column. It's not just about playing for yourself. And there's a lot of life lessons there that I found have kind of led me into my cancer fight as well, and I find myself giving these lessons to my kids as I coach their teams. Things like you always play to win. You always play to win, and you always swing for the fences. Every single time, all day long. And you never forget that you're part of a team. It's the second lesson I always tell them. Because the second you forget that you're part of a team, you try to go about doing something all on your own, you're about to go about it all wrong, I promise you that. And so these are the kind of lessons that as I give them to my kid, I realize they're really kind of the lessons of a cancer patient. You realize how strong you have to really, how the strength you have to pull out of yourself, and how much you are relying on a team of people around you. I've come to realize that there's kind of 3 angles to that team. One is my friends and family, my parish and schools for my kids. They've really come together in a great way to provide me support. And the other is with my company, my workplace. They've been tremendously supportive. It's a great team environment, and as I'm looking, I see our president and my wife at the same table together. I have to share a story, actually. It was probably about 4 years ago. Jim came to me and he said, hey, I've got a meeting I can't make. Can you cover this? It's coming up this May. And I said, yeah, sure, I can cover that because it's an area that I worked in. So mid-April rolls around and I start to schedule the flight for the meeting. Sorry for the sidetrack there, since you're at the same table, I've got to do this one. And then I realized, it happens on Mother's Day. So I got all hot at my desk and and it was the Mother's Day just after she gave birth to our triplets. And if any of you guys have never seen the inside of a doghouse, I can sketch one from memory on that. But, we realized from the point at which I was diagnosed with my sarcoma, it was going to be a tough fight. My cancer is sarcoma. It's a rare cancer. It's an aggressive cancer. It's very difficult to fight. And I remember the first day that we found out about it, we went home. And we cried for some time. And then we kind of picked ourselves up and said, listen, we're going to pull it together because our life is really just full of blessings. We've got a great team around us that's going to support us the whole way, and we know that. And if this is what life's curveball is going to be at us, well, then we're just going to play it out. And although it felt like someone was just scoring runs on us while we're sitting there the whole time, it was now our time to get back up to the plate. We were going to get armed with information. We were going to get armed with the medicines that we needed to go after this thing. We were going to do it. And we did. So we pulled ourselves together, and we refused to let cancer be the eraser of everything good in our life. We said we're not going to let it do that. So we began to chase it. We started running around the country. And from last September, when I was fully diagnosed, through about December of last year, we felt that our first best option in terms of my treatment would be a clinical trial at the Mayo Clinic. And so for almost every week, we went back and forth to Minnesota for those treatments. And they did a great job. We're very fortunate to have a response. There's still more work to be done. And so from about January to June of this year, we followed up with a great course of aggressive chemo at Penn Oncology. And Penn doctors were great. They lined up a nice aggressive regimen. It was as aggressive as I wanted to get after it. The thing about the ifosfamide treatment is it's pretty intense. And some of you who have been through cancer know this is one of those that's an 8-day program out of every 21. You're hooked up to chemo for anywhere from chemo or IV hydration for anywhere 4 to 12 hours a day for about 8 days straight. It's pretty tough. And so we're swimming away at this thing. We're going aggressive. We're going where we think we need to go to get the different treatments that we need. We're trying to make it happen. And one day, one of the treatments really got me down. I'd been handling it really well, and it just wiped me out. Couldn't get out of bed for about 3 days. And over the course of that 3 days, my oldest daughter began to get a little uneasy and eventually expressed to my wife that she thought Dad was going to die right there. And that was kind of when I realized, geez, I think I've been neglecting the home team a little bit. And even though you try to sit back and explain to kids what's going on, they know so much more than you tell them. They're so much smarter than that. They see it going on. And they have a different way of communicating or not communicating. And despite all the running around, it's like we just didn't have time to really catch up and do the family things that we were doing because I was trying to save my life. And that's kind of the irony of the whole thing when people talk to me about For Pete's Sake and how inspired I am by the organization because the mission is truly creative and needed. It's not so much medical-based per se, but it takes that thing called your life and your family, and it puts it back up at the top of your list. Because when you go through this fight, there's so many things that knock it down. Your cash flow definitely goes to different places. Your time goes to different places. All your resources go to different places, and that thing called family time together can make its way down the ladder. Luckily, we had an oncology nurse at Penn that came up and said, hey, have you heard about For Pete's Sake? And I said, a couple people mentioned it to me, and she said, Dan, you got to do it. It's not just about you, it's about your kids. They're going through this too. And boy, are we ever so happy that we took that trip. When I think about the team of For Pete's Sake, I want you to know that when you contribute to For Pete's Sake, it is one heck of a well-run organization. Because I can tell you a little bit about how they operate, just in terms of the respite they put together in about 10 seconds. Basically, you get selected, it's a phone call, you learn a little bit about each other, and they essentially say, give us some dates. Give them a few dates. A few weeks later, they give you a call, they say, why don't you come down to our office? And you go down there, and they lay it all out for you. It's almost like that MasterCard commercial that it's priceless. Right? Because it's one of those things that my wife, who has been the glue for this family, didn't have to plan at all. And of course, it was something that resources just didn't afford right now. We were so grateful for it. So I know my kids had a good time, and for 1 week, it was life as usual, almost like it was before we had cancer. They weren't thinking about a sick dad. Unfortunately, no kid should have to. How do I know that? Because every day when they got up, they fought. But in all seriousness, they had a great time, and it was just genuine family time. Every day we got up, we went to the parks with the tickets that Disney had donated. We had a great time. We came home, we swam in the pool, and we had dinner by the pool every night together. And it was quiet, solid family time. And so it really inspired me. I'm inspired by it For Pete's Sake. It really takes that thing called life, that thing that you're chasing when you have cancer, to get just that much more of, and then put it right back up into better focus for you where it should be at a time when you really can't do that. And that's what you're chipping in for. So with that, I just want to say thank you to all the sponsors. Thank you to For Pete's Sake for really you're giving us the ammunition to swing away at our cancers. And I'm aiming for the fences, and organizations like you help me do that.